A lot of people claim that quantum computers will massively accelerate the creation of powerful new drugs. I mean, who isn't inspired when they learn that clinics are now working with quantum computing companies to find cures for diseases?
Healthcare would be transformed if quantum computers can model the behavior of proteins, the molecules that regulate all life.
It takes on many shapes, many shapes, depending upon what it's doing and where it is and which other protein it's with. I need to understand the shape it's in when it's doing an interaction or a function that I don't want it to do for that patient. Cancer, autoimmunity, it's a problem. We are limited completely by the computational ability.
Is this really true though? Can quantum computers really help cure cancer? As quantum computing researchers, we make it our mission to ruin your day. So today, we're going to look at whether quantum computers can really help revolutionize drug design with the help of this recent paper by Santagati and co-authors, who are experts in quantum computing, chemistry, and pharmacy.
If you're new to our show, welcome to Quantum News Monthly. I'm Debo.
And I'm Mingyu. And we bring you the underlooked science hidden behind the overhyped quantum computing news. Without further ado, let's dive into drugs, diseases, and quantum.
There's thousands of diseases that we want to cure, from coronavirus and cancer to viruses that attack cancer.
Viruses that attack cancer.
Yeah, look.
That's why her tumor shrank. The virus went after the cancer first.
Are you saying a virus attacked your tumor?
One of the virus types most prone to go after cancer cells is herpes.
Herpes encephalitis.
Damn, diseases work in wild ways.
In order to understand how quantum computers can help design drugs, we have to understand how drugs work in the first place.
Protein Data Bank explains this really well. Drugs are small molecules that bind to one specific protein related to a disease and modify its action. For example, drug molecules can bind to the cancer cell's protein, turn it off, and therefore cure cancer.
But for drugs to work, the drug molecules need to actually bind to the target protein. So an important part of drug discovery is to identify candidate molecules that can strongly bind to the target protein and calculate how strongly it would bind. And the binding strength calculation needs to be accurate. If the molecule binds strongly, you need fewer drug molecules in the protein surroundings. But if it binds weakly, you need to increase the dosage perhaps so that there's more drug molecules around for it to bind. According to this paper, even a small deviation can translate into a dose estimation error that is off by an order of magnitude. And this is where scientists think that quantum computers might help to find the right drug candidates and to figure out their dosage.
And that's because for some drugs, calculating the binding strength accurately requires considering the quantum effects at the molecular level. And this can be very difficult when molecules have strong correlation in their electronic structure. Or in other words, electrons are strongly entangled. This could be the case for metal-bearing drugs used in cancer treatment and imaging of tissues. For such cases, conventional simulation of drug binding is very computationally costly, even for moderate accuracy results. And the more accuracy you need, the more costly it gets. This is where quantum computers might be helpful.
So quantum computing does solve cancer?
Not so fast. There's other problems that we'll come to soon.
Okay, party pooper. So does quantum computing solve fever?
Once again, not so fast. The authors say that when it comes to oral drugs, the current classical methods of calculations are already pretty accurate, without considering all the super complicated quantum effects. So probably no, quantum computing is not going to help replace ibuprofen.
Oh.
The paper points out that it is rare for drug molecules to have strong electronic correlations, so quantum computers might be helpful for only a few types of drugs. Is it rare because of something fundamentally undesirable about metal-bearing molecules, or is it rare just because they're hard to compute and we haven't found them yet? This is an open question.
So let's say we want to find new cancer drugs. Can we calculate the binding strengths now?
Well, it seems there's still a long way to go. In the future, with perfect qubits, we might be able to calculate the binding energy between two molecules in a certain shape and orientation. The problem is that in the human body, these molecules will be surrounded by water and at 36.5 degrees Celsius. In these conditions, the molecules can take extremely various shapes and orientations. That means this binding energy calculation needs to be done billions of times to obtain the correct thermal average of the binding energies.
That sounds really bad. You're just on a streak of delivering bad news today. Do you have any good news?
Yeah, maybe. The authors say that we could maybe improve how we compute the thermal average by encoding the probability distribution of the molecule structures into a quantum superposition state. Then the quantum computer can use this state to calculate the average binding energy at once. This may capture the classical fluctuations of the molecule's shapes and the quantum correlations of electrons at the same time.
Of course, this stage is just a small part of the entire drug discovery process, which is extremely complicated. Finding the molecules that bind strongly to the protein is only the start. For example, binding energy doesn't tell you anything about the possible side effects of the drug. So if the quantum computers help here, it will only help in this preliminary stage before doing things like test tube experiments and animal testing, which also involves long and painstaking research.
Finally, everything we discussed so far is assuming that we have huge quantum computers with thousands of perfect qubits one day, which we all know is going to be a long and hard journey. But I don't think we all knew that even then, quantum computers would not speed up all or even most kinds of drug design, practically speaking. So yeah, both algorithm design and hardware have a long way to go. But the scientists have some really good ideas for directions to pursue.
Yeah, for example, maybe quantum machine learning can help figure out how drugs are absorbed and processed by the body. And maybe quantum computers can make gains by focusing on the quantum mechanical region of the drug where accuracy matters most.
And that's the great thing about science. Scientists are resilient. When one door closes, they find 10 other doors.
Yeah, we can't promise that quantum computers will be useful to all kinds of drug design, but we can promise that scientists will keep looking for ways.